Tell you what, going down is a lot.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
We're here! We're here!
Outdoor encounters are unpredictable by nature, where a split-second shift can turn a peaceful journey into a desperate survival situation. From being swept a full mile downhill by a massive sudden avalanche to hearing a low, hostile growl from an invisible predator just feet away in the brush, the wilderness has a way of silencing even the most experienced explorers. When nature stops being a backdrop and starts becoming a threat, would you know when to walk away? In August 2022, Outdoor Boys recorded a 3-day rush through Utah's Mighty 5 national parks, where what began as a family adventure quickly turned into a series of tense moments involving flash floods, towering cliffs, and reminders of the past.
That's the beginning of the Narrows, a slot canyon with a river running down the middle. Ooh, the water's brisk. There was a pretty serious flash flood last night, and the river volume was about 4 times what it is right now. See, Tom, where it's ripply, that's where it's going to be fast and shallow. Where it's calm, it's going to be deep. Check it out, guys, there's a patch of quicksand here. When you're wading through the water, you'll stub your toes on a lot of rocks, so you got to have good closed-toed shoes with a lot of cushion. Suck it in. I'm not sure how deep that is, but it's definitely over Tommy's head. Check out that big pile of rocks up there. You can see how deep it gets when it floods. The water was up to here about 1 a.m. last night.
Few things strip away confidence like the force of rushing water. In the Narrows, Luke guided Tom through muddy, fast-moving currents only hours after a powerful flash flood had swept through. The choice became a stark example of how a peaceful trail can suddenly become a deadly corridor with no clear exit.
We're at the ghost town of Grafton. It's one of the best preserved ghost towns in the state of Utah. They take a big barrel, they fill it full of water, and then they pull it with a sled so they can do their laundry. Check out these mud bricks. This is the church and the schoolhouse, which was built in 1886. Imagine going to school there.
Whoa.
It says Joseph Berry, born 1843, killed by Indians 1866. The Navajo started raiding here and everyone just left and went to a nearby town for protection. Now some of the local community members have got together and are trying to preserve Grafton. This is just a community trying to preserve history.
Leaving the main routes behind, they visited the abandoned town of Grafton. Beyond the famous rock formations and desert beauty, the land holds quiet traces of those who never made it. Luke showed Tom a gravestone from 1866, marking a settler killed during the local conflict. The silence of the place carried a heavy reminder of the violence hidden beneath Utah's breathtaking scenery.
One thing cool about Canyonlands is they have some amazing 4x4 trails down into the canyon. Oh my goodness, this trail drops right off the side of the canyon wall. Look at that cliff. Oh, that drop off is no joke, Tommy. Oh. Hey Tom, is this scary?
Yes, I'm ready to bail out.
I can get closer if you like.
No!
No. Okay, we'll stay back here. Bad news though, we gotta go back up. That is an amazing drive. That was so cool. Can't believe we just drove down that. This trail system goes on for miles and miles. Just disappears off into the horizon.
The stress peaked at Schaefer Canyon, where Luke drove their 4x4 down a narrow switchback road carved into a steep cliff, with nothing but open air beyond the edge. Inside the vehicle, Tom's fear was obvious and intense. It was a moment grounded in reality, showing that in Schaefer Canyon, there is no room for mistakes. Some viewers admire Luke's practical teaching style, while others wonder whether knowledge can truly balance such extreme hazards. In a landscape shaped by floods and drop-offs, The question remains, where does meaningful learning stop and needless risk begin? On August 2nd, 2025, the YouTube channel Jenna Alexis recorded a solo overnight hike along the Ribbon Creek Trail in Kananaskis, Alberta. Traveling alone toward high-altitude lakes and waterfalls, Jenna entered a setting that required complete attention. Although the trail was maintained and welcoming, the surroundings concealed a dangerous edge that demanded caution at every step.
I was with my dog last time. I did not bring my dog this time because I'm heading up past this section that's going up like rock face. And this campsite is not too much farther, but there is quite a bit more elevation. I noticed some clouds and thunder rolling up, which wasn't on the forecast. So I'm trying to get up the steep part and get to the rock face before it might start pouring rain. Okay, this is my view from the side of the cliff, and I'm going up these step thingies across the ledge. Thankfully, it's not too slippery. I thought it was going to be a little bit wet from the drizzle we had, but it's kind of okay. I swear I'm very careful. It's really just regular scrambling. It just seems riskier because it's so exposed.
Climbing a steep rock face using only anchored chains, Jenna found herself hundreds of feet above the ground as thunder began to sound. On a vertical wall, any margin for error disappears as the sky grows darker. The tension was clear. Gripping those metal chains, an approaching storm could instantly change a steady ascent into a fight for survival.
Probably hear them buzzing. I'm hiding in my tent from all of the mosquitoes outside. Do you hear that? These bugs are insane. Oh my god, I breathed in a bug. That was so gross. I literally felt it enter my lungs almost. Gross. I just inhaled a bug. Ate a bug by accident, but we're well hydrated now.
In the wilderness, the most troubling dangers are often the smallest. Forced into her tent by nonstop mosquitoes, Jenna accidentally breathed in an insect while filming reacting with obvious panic as it went into her airway. This raw moment shows how the outdoors can overwhelm both body and mind in ways no one can fully anticipate.
So beautiful here this morning. Like last night it was pretty cloudy and a little bit stormy, and the view this morning is just unreal. It's almost 8 now, and I'm heading back the way that I came. Looking out into the lake. Tell you what, going down is a lot freakier than going up. I'm going back down this steep part, and just like leveraging the weight of my backpack correctly as I'm like down stepping backwards is a little freaky.
Going down a cliff brings a different kind of fear where gravity and exhaustion work together against you. Carefully moving down the chain-secured rock face with a heavy pack, Jenna faced a drop that looked much steeper than the climb upward. With no backup protection, the footage reveals a stark truth. Even a slight slip here could have life-changing results. While viewers praised Jenna's planning and the breathtaking scenery she filmed, the video caused many to question their own boundaries. When nature allows no mistakes, we are left asking, when does the excitement of exploration become unnecessary danger? In July 2023, the channel Eek Acres ventured into this damp, tangled stretch of wilderness to search for isolated camping spots. In an area marked by poor visibility and frequent black bear activity, the quiet of the forest felt less like calm and more like a signal to stay alert.
Well, yesterday, Bridget and I were coming back in her car from going out to dinner with a couple friends of mine. And after we said our goodbyes and left, Bridget and I were coming back on Sawmill Run Road, which is a big state forest. And we encountered a small U-Haul truck that was speeding, caught up to us out of nowhere and was tailgating Bridget's car, passed on a double line, blew around us, and just as we were coming to a dead man's curve, and somehow it made it around the bend, and after we went around the bend, the thing was gone. Once we went around the second bend, there was no sight of the truck, because then it was just a straight road going all the way up the mountain, and he wasn't even a mile or two ahead of us. He didn't roll it over. It just disappeared.
After entering the woods, the host recalls an uneasy incident from the previous day. While driving rural roads near Broken Straw Forest, a U-Haul had followed closely at high speed, then disappeared around a sharp bend where there were no turnoffs or visible tracks. Thinking about it again while surrounded by thick vegetation made the forest seem far less empty than it looked.
Wow. Boy, this is thick, you guys. Really, really thick country here. Hey, bear. It's getting a little more thicker up here. We're taking a break. We found a nice rest area right here. Nice fallen tree to sit on. It's pretty buggy in this forest, but it's just so thick with undergrowth and ferns and just all kinds of greenery. Dense forest. And that's where you usually see the bear, because they like thick cover. Hey, bear!
As they pushed farther in, sightlines shrank to only a few meters. Pausing near fallen trees, the host explained that terrain this dense provides perfect cover for black bears, giving almost no warning time if one is concealed nearby. Then the imagined threat became immediate.
Okay, guys, we ran across a gentleman that just walked out of the woods. I asked him how long this trail is. He said this trail we're on is 18 miles long. That would explain why on all trails it said 1.8. They had a decimal between the 1 and the 8. If you don't have accurate information, how, if you didn't know when to turn around, you could easily get yourself much deeper in a forest than you want to go and get into trouble real quick. And that was the case we encountered today. The information was incorrect. Instead of 1.8, it's 18 miles. So by the time we get back to the car, we're putting in a 6-mile hike, and that's enough on a 90-degree day with high humidity. So anyway, we're just going to keep on hiking, heading back towards the car. We're both very tired, looking forward to getting back to the car and calling it a day. Well, update you guys. We're taking a pit stop right here, taking a rest. We got under a mile to go, and then we'll be back to the car. But I'm stoked that there is camping up on the forestry road. So I'm looking forward to camping in this forest, doing a night over in it. What the hell is that? Something's growling. Get the dog picked up. There's something as we're making our way back to the car. Something is growling at us. Did you hear that? Not joking, you guys. It is a deep growl. I've got the can in my hand right now. We both stopped and it was just going. That was creepy. I wonder if that was a freaking Sasquatch. We are going to make it in fast time, walking fast, and get back to the car. And I'm going to keep watching behind us. I have never ever heard that in the woods before. Thank God, you guys. We're at the end of the trail.
Less than 2 kilometers from the exit, a low, hostile growl burst from the brush beside the trail. Bear spray was raised, the dog was lifted, but nothing could be seen. The sound alone delivered the message it was time to turn back. Viewers still debate whether the noise came from a known animal or something harder to identify, but the result was the same. When danger announces itself from the darkness, leaving is no longer a choice, it becomes the only way forward. On March 1st, 2024, a disturbing clip of heli-skiing was posted on YouTube. The footage came from a creator called EVPOW, who was skiing by helicopter with a group of friends in Colorado's San Juan Mountains. At the beginning, everything looks ideal. The helicopter dropped the fresh, untouched snow, and the first few moments of descent create the kind of scene many skiers hope for. But just seconds later, the mood shifts violently.
Oh. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, we're okay. You okay? Yeah, he's on the surface. He's okay. His skis are still on us. Alright, buddy?
Yeah,
Holy shit.
that's fucking wild.
Fuck, dude, you rode that thing too.
Without any clear warning, the mountainside collapses, and EVPOW is swept into a huge avalanche, carried almost a full mile downhill at frightening speed. Thankfully, he is able to activate his avalanche airbag in time, a move that likely saves his life by keeping him closer to the surface instead of being buried under the snow. Shortly afterward, his friends rush toward him to see if he's injured. Amazingly, he survives with no serious harm. The video serves as a stark reminder that even when everything seems perfect, blue skies, deep powder, and skilled skiers' danger can appear without notice. Would you continue skiing in a place like this after witnessing what happened? On April 25th, 2015, a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Nepal, the strongest in more than 80 years, killing close to 9,000 people and injuring over 22,000. The devastation spread well beyond major cities, reaching isolated regions too. That same day, Ratnesh Pandey and others were at Mount Everest base camp getting ready for their ascent. A GoPro had been positioned to capture what was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime journey. Instead, it recorded stark, unsettling footage that reveals the force of nature and how little control humans have when it decides to act.
Net een gigantische aardbeving geweest. Nog bezig. Fuck. This is scary. Oh. I look like before. Wait for a minute. Oh my god.
They felt the quake and were rattled after it ended. Still trying to understand what had just occurred, the shock kept them from immediately thinking about what can follow when the ground shifts on a mountain layered with snow and ice. Then they turned around.
Have you had earthquakes before? Whoa, 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 whoa!
An avalanche was racing down the mountain with a power no one there was prepared for. A towering mass of snow, ice, and debris surged straight toward them. They ran on instinct toward shelter, but they knew deep down they would not reach safety in time. In those last seconds, only one choice remained: prepare for the impact. By chance, the avalanche did not hit the camp directly. It blasted through the area with enormous force, but it was not a direct strike, and that small difference changed everything. They had just enough time to take cover as the surge swept through the camp. Their camp was one of many on the mountain and one of the luckiest. Other camps were not spared. The avalanche struck them head-on, burying everything in its path. Tragically, 19 people died, and about 50 others were seriously hurt. There was no safe place to run, and nothing that could have stopped it. This serves as a reminder that nature is always more powerful than we are. Would you trust yourself to survive something like this? If an earthquake feels frightening at ground level, it's difficult to picture what it would be like on a mountain summit. This video makes imagination unnecessary. It was recorded by a group of climbers making their way up the Kitakami Ridge. While they were standing on the peak, a magnitude 4 earthquake struck the region. It was much weaker than the quake that devastated Nepal, yet even a moderate tremor becomes far more dangerous.
There. 落ち着けよ。さっちゃん、あんまりね、壁に捕まってると落ちるよ。上、まだ来てるよ。すごい崩れてるよ。ああ、槍のところも煙がね、結構すごいね。まだ揺れてるかな。
when it happens at high elevation. Although smaller in scale, the shaking was strong enough to dislodge rocks from the top of the mountain. Several stones broke free and tumbled toward the climbers. One of them narrowly missed a person, making it clear how quickly the situation had turned deadly. At that height, even a minor slip or impact could have been fatal. After the tremor ended, rocks continued to fall, leading to a grim realization. If a magnitude 4 quake could create this level of danger at the summit, the idea of a stronger one is terrifying. In such a case, survival would seem almost impossible. Would you continue climbing after witnessing something like this? On March 5th, 2015, a highly disturbing clip appeared on YouTube. It was posted by a man named James Mort, who had been skiing in the Swiss Alps during the winter season of 2015. James and his friends decided to ski off marked trails looking for fresh powder and smooth routes. What seemed like an ordinary choice quickly turned into an experience none of them would ever forget.
Oh, this is gonna be amazing. Yahoo! Yahoo! Whoa! Avalanche! Where's James? Where's James? I think he was. Huh? Yeah, I think so.
Without any warning, an avalanche suddenly released and rushed directly through the group. James was extremely lucky and managed to remain on the surface of the moving snow. One of his friends, however, was far less fortunate and was buried almost immediately. The group responded at once, fully aware that, in situations like this, every second under the snow can decide between life and death.
He's over here. Coming! Take this. I got you, James. Yeah. He's under here. Yeah, that's him.
No, there's nothing.
No, that's his hole, dude.
That's his boat.
Where is he?
Yeah, I feel him. Just there. Just there. I can feel something.
I'm trying to find his head.
It's my ski head.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's his helmet.
James?
James!
James?
Yeah, we got him. We know we got you.
We're here. Breathe.
We're here, dude.
We're here. Breathe. Breathe, man.
You good?
He's getting cold.
Here, take this. Can't get my helmet off, dude. My hands are fucked.
After several intense minutes of digging, they finally uncovered their friend from deep beneath the snowpack. The video serves as a stark reminder that even when conditions appear calm and controlled, danger can be only moments away. If the circumstances had shifted just slightly, the result could have been much worse. Would you be willing to take a risk like this yourself? This next clip features Andre, a teenager from Romania. He and his friends were out for a casual hike along a trail in Sinaia when they unexpectedly ran into something they had never seen before.
Ei, fă cu noi! 6-7? Să-mi ba pula. Dai mic.
Mâinile sus. Așa.
Da, dar e o problemă mai mare. Dacă te uiți foarte bine, la ăsta e pui. Și de obicei puiul vine cu mama. Acum întrebare, unde e mama?
Mă speria cu ei, vezi, mă gândesc apoi să moară băieții.
Mie nu-i frică de asta, mi-e frică de măsa. Că dacă vine măsa, ne face aia din două bucăți, ne-a făcut praf pe toți.
Faceți gălăgie, vorbiți.
Aaaa!
Fica aici, hai să ne întoarcem un secundă mai în spate și mai stăm și noi 10-15-20 de minute. Și gata.
One of them pointed out that bears were known to live in the region, but since it was winter, they believed the animals would still be hibernating. While that is often true, it does not always happen. Bears, especially younger ones, may leave hibernation early if they are underweight or struggling to find food. That is why bear encounters in winter can be especially dangerous. In these conditions, bears are usually hungrier, more irritable, and far less predictable than normal. In this situation, the bear they spotted appeared to be fairly small. Even so, the group worried that its mother could be close by. It is impossible to say whether that was likely here, but either way, the moment was clearly terrifying. Although they laughed and joked after it was over, the fear had not disappeared. Their voices still trembled, showing how tense and serious those seconds truly were. Would you feel comfortable staying on the trail after seeing a bear at such close range? In early 2022, an extremely unsettling video surfaced on YouTube. It was posted by a user called Everest 8,848 meters, who was part of a climbing team on Mount Manaslu in the Himalayan range. Manaslu is widely recognized for unstable weather and severe avalanche threats. Even so, what this team experienced that day went far beyond the typical dangers linked to high-altitude expeditions.
Where do we have to go? Many people dead. My God. My God.
Shit. Some people there. Shit.
As conditions on the mountain quickly deteriorated, pieces of equipment suddenly began sliding down from higher on the slope. At first, confusion and panic spread as climbers tried to understand what was unfolding around them. Moments later, the terrifying truth became clear. Some members of the group had not survived. Shortly after that, 2 motionless bodies were seen falling down the mountainside. Out of respect for those involved, the footage is not displayed. However, it is still publicly accessible. Regardless, this recording remains one of the bleakest and most haunting moments ever captured in mountaineering. Would you still decide to climb a mountain knowing how little control there can be? Wild Frontier is a channel where the creator records his mountain travels, showing demanding climbs and brief glimpses into his everyday routine. One video stands out in particular, the one in which he hikes up a mountain and chooses to spend the night there. That is the clip being highlighted here because during this trip, he went through something that left him deeply unsettled. After trekking toward the peak, darkness slowly fell. He set up his tent and started a fire to keep warm as the temperature dropped. Later that night, around 4 a.m., just as he was drifting towards sleep, he was abruptly startled awake by a strange sound.
It's about 10:35 p.m. and I completely regret the decision of wanting to spend the night alone in the mountains. It's too late to go home now because I am not getting out of this tent and hiking my way out in the dark alone. It's pretty cold right now. So I was using my parka as my pillow earlier, but I got too cold, so I put my parka on and I don't have a pillow now, which isn't the most comfy, but at least I'm not freezing to death. Not gonna lie, this was a pretty stupid idea. So it's about 4:15 a.m. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick this up or not.
He tried to calm himself and lie back down, but he could not relax. When he realized a group of wolves was in the area, there was nothing to do but stay tense and alert, waiting for daylight.
So the howling only lasted for about 15 minutes-ish. They never came anywhere near the tent, but needless to say, I still wasn't able to go back to sleep. I'm just waiting for first light now so I can get out and start packing stuff up. Still pretty cold.
The howling continued for about 15 minutes and never came right up to the tent, yet falling back asleep was impossible. Once morning came, he packed his gear and left. Wolves almost never attack people and had likely been aware of him long before he noticed them. They didn't come closer, but the feeling of threat lingered. In the end, he was unharmed. Would you remain overnight, knowing wolves were nearby?
That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.